welcome back. This is season one, episode two. We're actually excited to be here and back. Are you excited?
Oh yeah, it's been a long week.
Really? Okay. No, it
Yeah.
is actually been, but guess what? So we have a lot of goodies in our bag today. So today's episode, I call it starting all over or starting from scratch. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, when you think of someone being an immigrant, what do you think about?
Honestly, I don't want to get religious here, but I kind of go back to like the biblical, like the Israelites going to Egypt,
Egypt.
and
Okay.
so being an immigrant in modern times
Okay.
kind of to me entails leaving most of everything
Everything you
leaving
know.
your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It could be for economic reasons.
Yeah.
For most people right now, it could be for security reasons because of wars and
Yeah. Even what's going
terrorism.
on in Congo right now.
Exactly.
Yes.
So many parts of the world are experiencing conflict. So there could be
Yeah.
several reasons why people are, immigrants.
Yeah.
Some are forced,
Yes.
while some are,
The next step
initiated
in
by the
life.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly, like yeah, economic immigration.
Yeah, exactly. Well, honestly, I love this episode today that is starting over because honestly, I am Nigerian, and when I look back, sometimes it's like I don't even remember what my life was like when I was back home. And when I moved here, it was very challenging. I could even remember my mom seeing me off at the airport and with so much hope and gleam in her face and hugs and prayers. And on another note, you are literally hiding the japa from some people that you feel like, man, if they know about this,
Village people.
yeah, village people, if they know about this might not even happen.
Um,
And it's scary in a way, but it's beautiful in another way because it's like it's scary in the sense that you are leaving family, you're leaving friends, you're leaving everything. You're literally leaving food. I'm a foodie myself, so you're leaving like your ECO, your unkobi, just different things. You're leaving all these things behind. To basically, the beautiful part of it is that gleam of hope starting over. Like it has this thing that you don't even know what it will be, but it's gonna be great.
yeah.
In your head, you're like,
But
man,
I have this question for you. How long have you been an immigrant?
I would say 8 years plus.
If you were taken back to the start, would you do it again, or would you rather remain in Nigeria?
I would do it again, but maybe differently. Which
Okay.
is why we are here, right?
Okay.
So, and I feel like you can really prepare yourself as much as okay. I want to be this perfect immigrant. You gotta pay your dues. Then that's what they say when you're an immigrant and you make it, you have to pay
Oh
your
yeah,
dues,
of
right?
course,
So,
definitely.
for me, I would do it all over again. Maybe I would change some things, but that would be in a perfect world, right?
Yeah.
I wish there was actually something we could watch back in the day that would tell us a lot of stuff
Yeah.
on what you will go through in our head. Anybody in Nigeria right now, or even in Africa that is just thinking of leaving, all they think about is the flight. When you get there, what next? That what next is something we don't ever ask ourselves. Like, okay, when I get there, let's say you're here for school,
Mhm.
how are you going to fend for yourself? Do you think the upkeep from home is going to keep you steady here? There's a lot of things that is not addressed. I feel like it's just
Yeah, I
swept
kind
under
of
the
so
carpet.
that kind of makes me feel happy that we are doing this right now because I wish I had a podcast like this before I moved from Nigeria about 7 years ago.
7 years. So I'm
Uh,
kind of like a year senior of you.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So I hope with this podcast we are able to
Shine
educate
light.
people who are thinking of making the same steps.
Hmm.
So they are better prepared because
Yeah.
trust me, you don't want to face the challenges in a new country if you're unprepared
Yeah.
because it could literally shock you to the point where you fall into like depression and stuff like that. If you're unprepared, it is really tough.
A lot of
You know.
immigrants, now you said depression, a lot of immigrants are actually depressed, but it's like a taboo, like we can't talk about it.
Black don't crack.
Yeah, black don't crack.
Africans can get depression.
Yes, exactly. Or, imagine calling up your mom that has been maybe fasting and praying for let's say 3 days nonstop for you. You call her to
Mhm.
say, Mom, I'm going through depression. She's gonna cast her mind it out of your brain. My mom will be like, I cast it in Jesus' name.
Oh my God.
Like you can. There is just some things that I feel like you have to walk the walk to
Mhm.
understand.
Of
It's not
course.
something someone would literally tell you. Like now, let's say, for example, if it's someone that is planning on leaving,
Mhm.
this will come in handy. It will arm them to know what to expect.
Okay.
But if it's someone that is already here, they'll
Okay.
be laughing their butts off because you gotta walk the
Of
walk
course,
to
everyone
understand.
has a story. Everyone's
Yes.
path is different. Some have it easier, some it took forever. I
Mm-hmm.
know people who has been here, way longer than I've been
Yeah.
here, like 10 years, 15 years, and they're not able to travel anywhere because their papers are not
In
intact.
order.
So it's really a struggle for some people. So if you're one of the lucky few,
Good luck.
thank your stars,
Thank your
thank your
stars.
stars, because it's really not easy for everyone.
Everyone, no,
So
it is
quickly,
not.
we're just gonna dive into what we have for today. Like
Okay.
Adora said, starting
Hmm.
over from scratch. Yeah.
For me, I would actually. I know there is a story you've told me.
Mhm.
Based on when you got here, how you got here, you had a life, you had aspirations on
Mhm.
what you wanted to do back home.
Okay.
That your immigrant story
Okay.
was more on something unprecedented. You didn't know. You
Yeah.
didn't. It was unplanned. It was.
Exactly.
I would say yours is kind of
So
like
do you want me to go first with my
yes, no,
personal
you go
story?
first. Yes, I feel
Okay.
like yours is more interesting than mine. You go,
No,
like,
it's
yeah.
fine. I'll share that. So I was kind of tricked.
Tricked
I
per
was tricked.
se.
So yeah,
So is it like a good streak, or when you look back now?
well, eventually it is a good trick.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and my uncle, they had everything planned out.
Okay.
So when I was coming, I was just coming for a graduation party, you
Yeah.
know, um, and then I was on the verge because I had just finished my national youth service. Back home in Nigeria, when you're done with college and you're still under 30, you
Well, we
have
call it
to university.
university.
Yeah,
Yeah, here is college, but
if you're under 30, you have to serve 1 year in the national youth service corps. So I had just finished my national youth service, and I was on the verge of getting into the oil and gas industry. Nigeria is one of the big oil and gas countries. So I had written the first
okay.
part of the recruitment, test and everything, and I did quite well.
Okay.
So I had an interview, which was scheduled for about 6 weeks from the date that I traveled to the US. So
Okay.
my intention was come to the US, spend 2 or 3 weeks, and go back home to Nigeria.
Oh,
And
so you
you
thought.
know, so I thought. So I basically came with just a few clothes to last me a few weeks. I didn't even bring my school certs, my
No,
degrees, nothing. I
nothing.
didn't bring
Are
anything
you
with me, so I
serious?
wasn't prepared.
Are you kidding me?
Really, yeah. So when I came here, I had a soft landing. I would say my uncle, God bless him, Uncle Sam. He really made everything so easy
So
for me,
easy
so
for
smooth for
you.
me. So I stayed in his house. He took me in for well over a
And you
year.
were not paying anything, no.
Zero,
Wow.
zero. I had zero bills.
Are you kidding me? In America? Come
I
on.
had zero bills for my first year and a half in
Okay.
the US. The only negative would be that I added 50 pounds in that time because I was
Why?
basically not doing anything.
So you're just home
I
and
was just at
eating.
home. And then that culture shock, like I went to Walmart and then I saw rotisserie chicken for about $2 or less than $2.
So you were like, okay,
I'm like,
let's go
really?
eat.
Roasted chicken? Coming from Nigeria. I'm like, roasted chicken?
It's a full one, a full chicken.
Every time I go to Walmart, I'll buy one rotisserie chicken and one bucket of ice cream.
Oh my
Lock,
god.
lock myself in the room, watch Netflix or watch whatever show that is on, and you know, eat the whole thing. And the next day I'll do it again. And also, because I
Okay.
played a lot of soccer back home in Nigeria.
Okay.
Back in college and in high school, I played soccer a lot. But when I came, of course, I was in a small city. It's called St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
That's where I was. So I couldn't find a place to play.
Okay. Because here
They
in
had
America, they
different
had their
sports.
own sport. That's one of
Yeah.
the culture shocks we're gonna definitely talk about.
Yeah. So all I could find was basketball, baseball. You know, so I didn't really exercise, and I wasn't watching my weight. Every time I posted a new picture, I had lots and lots of comments online. Well, yo, you're looking good. You're looking. I'm like, okay, I keep going. Boom! I moved from 170 pounds to 220 pounds in less than a year.
That's a lot, and it's not like you went through pregnancy or something. Because we women, that's what throws us up there.
Yeah. So luckily, in less than 2 years, I got my green card.
Oh wow.
And life really started then. So I'm one of the lucky few. I would say I'm one of the like maybe 10% who kind of has a smooth transition, for when you come here. So
and just to cut you out there, there is something you're about to miss out that I want you to point out for someone that is actually planning to leave their home state. Like, what is that thing that you think that made you have this soft landing? The
Okay.
support system.
Yes, that support system is very, very important. So in my case, it was arranged by my mom.
Okay.
She already spoke to my uncle, who accepted her plans to take care of me when I came. Without, I wasn't even aware. I wasn't, because I wouldn't have said yes, because I really wanted to stay back in Nigeria, because I was getting into the oil industry. Everybody wants to work for an oil company in Nigeria. Because I mean, sometimes when I look back, I'm like, what if? But nah. I like it here. I have no complaints. But the thing is, kind of being prepared before you, even though I didn't know I was coming to stay, but I was still prepared.
Someone prepared you for this.
I was still prepared. I had my college degree. I had some skills, which came in handy when I eventually joined the workforce.
Yeah.
So, being prepared, having a place to kind of give you that accommodation for when you move, like a soft landing,
Yes.
I think is the biggest
I feel like
preparation that anyone can make.
The biggest one. Accommodation is, because regardless of how much you think it's gonna be, or you feel like, okay, I have saved this much amount of money, or you see people selling off their properties to go here, and guess what? No matter with the exchange rate, no matter how much you have, I know a lot of people have money, but I'm just speaking for the minorities that is not like that well versed, or blessed richly, like I would say. But let's say you sold everything, even if you could afford a very low income space, for how long? Till you stabilize?
Oh yeah.
That would be the longest. I would say longest and shortest, because it's long in the sense that you're stressing, but shorter that every month is going by so fast.
Oh yeah.
And then you're thinking, how will I afford the next month's rent? Or if you're squatting with someone, God help you, at a point they will see like what this person doing here, or why they're not like supporting for groceries.
Yeah.
So there will still be that anxiousness that is attached to that you never anticipated when you had all those dreams of men.
Also, I must add this. I know my story is kind of different. If you have someone who is willing to accommodate you in any country that you migrate to, have it in mind that within a few months they want you to contribute to the bills or to the rent or mortgage. Not everyone is gonna have it like I had it. I would say like 90% of the time they would want you to contribute to something, because it is not easy. It is not easy. I've seen
and
a lot of
with that mentality we have back home of being given handouts, being given gifts.
Yeah.
It is not the same here. Believe me, it is not.
It's totally different.
It's totally different. And I don't really know. I don't even if it's my siblings. I already even told them, anytime that anybody's here, I'm giving you ultimatum. Like, you gotta find your own feet. You gotta do this for yourself, because I believe that it takes a few people to really have what it takes to make it out here in the diaspora, whether it's in the U.S., Canada, Germany, anywhere, Europe, Asia, anywhere. It takes a particular type of attitude and mentality to actually make it. Because some people, takers, they don't quit. They will relax in your house Yes, they will rely because that would
Uh,
be the dream. That would be really be that American dream
it
for
just
them.
reminded me of one popular song in Nigeria. Say, "Give us never lack," but that's in the past.
That's
Right
the
now,
past.
takers don't know when to say no. They'll keep taking.
Yes,
Uh,
because imagine going for grocery shopping and you have a grown ass man or woman in your house that's an added mile to feed, internet, water, all those add to those bills daily. At the point, it's ruined relationships.
oh
It's
yeah.
ruined a lot of things, especially when someone is that person doesn't really know when to stop
Mm-hmm.
or even rely on you so much that they want to milk that cow till it's dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people would really want to.
That's true.
Some would even start making the money, but they still stay there till that relationship break up, and they'll be like, "Oh, they didn't appreciate me, so I'm gonna go find a new house or apartment now and show off." So for me, it's not even showing that gratitude of someone that really helped you when you were there.
Okay.
So it depends on the person too. So know when to say no too.
Of course.
Know when
Yeah.
to say no. Know when to say no. I have a question though. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for you,
Mm-hmm.
can you actually give me a little bit of your experience being underemployed? Yes, like let me reiterate this.
Mm-hmm.
It's more on being underemployed. On another note, it is how will I put it? The perception of what people actually say
Yeah.
or who people thought you were in back home, wherever
Yeah.
you're from,
Mm-hmm.
and here now. Like when you are unemployed, does it bother you? Like how was that first few jobs? Or I would say, what was that first job, and how did it make you feel if people back home knew this is what you're doing now? You know, did
Every
it bother
every
you?
time I remember the first job I did here in the US,
Doesn't
I
name
know
it.
immediately I got my work authorization,
Okay.
which is a little paper that permits you to work.
Okay.
Um, a friend told me about an opportunity somewhere in South Carolina. I'm not gonna name the company,
Okay.
but it was a warehouse.
I
it
started laughing because I've heard
was
a lot of warehouse.
it wasn't just a warehouse, it was a
Okay.
code room, right? It was a code room.
And coming from Africa where it's hot.
Coming from, I'm not built for the code, but
Okay.
to go in, you had to wear 6 layers of clothing
Wow.
because it is super cold in there. Because we dealt with fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
This was my first job in America, right? 6 days a week.
Really?
6 days
So
a
basically
week.
you have one day off.
14 hours every day, apart from Mondays. Monday is 15 hours. And there are no seats anywhere in the factory. You have to stand all 14 or 15 hours.
Oh, no way.
Every day. So
How did you get the job? Like how
I really don't want to go into the details, but 2 months into the job,
Okay.
I was already one of the oldest staff. Because everyone quit within the first week or 2 weeks or a month. It was a time I try not to remember. How you have a bad job is when you're going into the job every morning and you make that last turn and you see the factory, your mind skips. You're like, oh my god, I'm coming here again. At the point, I was like, is this the America that everybody talks about?
Were there other like how did you navigate like having coworkers? Were there other immigrants there? Were there other Americans there? I mean, African there? Like
honestly, there are people that I met there who I'm in contact with today. We are still friends.
okay.
I met quite a lot of Africans,
Okay.
a lot of South Americans,
Oh wow.
quite a few Americans actually. I did meet a lot of Americans
I
there.
cannot believe an American could work there.
But they were people from it was from a drug program. It was called Turning Point, I think. So like drug addicts who were in recovery, those were the people that worked there.
And then you didn't even know what that was.
I didn't know. I just saw a boss that said Turning Point on the body, and I was like, I'm making dollars now. Every week I get a paycheck.
What was the pay? You mind to share?
$6.25.
Was there any overtime or just the same? Round
Of
number?
course, we worked 14 hours every day and 15 on Monday. So with the overtime and everything, you're looking at maybe before tax, like $600 a week. So coming from
God.
Nigeria, I had done the maths and the calculation and
You
everything.
were
And I'm like,
calculating.
whoa, 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 that's good money. That's good money. But then, when you pay for your hotel room, when you pay for your bill, your phone, your food, your transportation and everything, you're barely left with like maybe $100 for that week.
My God.
It was a struggle, but 2 months and I was done.
You were done. So your first job, here was done in 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months.
Did that make you like reflect on what are you doing here? Do you want to run back home?
Yeah, I would say if I hadn't gotten my green card,
okay,
closely after that 2 months, maybe I wouldn't be here right now because I would have probably moved back home. But when I left the job, yeah, my uncle who had accommodated me, he told me, hey, just relax, it's gonna get better. I mean, this is your first experience, here. Let's give it some time and stuff. And my subsequent jobs were, much better than that. That was just my first experience, which I do not wish for anyone. I do not wish that, but that kind of prepared me for anything, because I've been in jobs where like my coworkers will be complaining, about one thing or the other, and then I remember my first job. I was like,
no.
oh, I wish you guys knew. So there is no job. I'm not gonna complain about any job because I know for a fact there will be no worse job here in America than that job.
Yeah, so you kind of like got your feet wet where you're kind of like done and dusted. It can't get that bad.
No, nothing can get that bad.
No,
nothing.
Oh my God. Well, my experience, I remember when I got here, one thing I really did a lot was more on leveraging networks.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I remember when I moved here, anybody here, especially Nigerians here in the US, we tend to take up one of the most noble jobs: doctors, nurses, lawyers. You would not see us in a sales job or something like that, right? And I remember when I got here, I was like, okay, where do I start? How do I start? So I didn't even finish college in Nigeria when I moved here, and I had to I was in school here and then working. So I'm like, okay, how do I navigate this? So some people are like, okay, instead of wasting money doing this, how about you just go to nursing school, right? Everybody and their mothers.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a nurse.
Exactly. And it was more like, okay, you have to go and do this. And I'm like, how do I navigate this? It was really, I would say it took a lot of emotional and ego. Like, how do you go from here to here now? Like, I already started over in school again. Now I have to go and dump that and start all over again. Mm-hmm. And it didn't make sense to me. And then come to think of the student loan, I'm like, okay, what if I don't like this and I'm stuck with this loan I have to pay off? Because I've heard some people say that. Yep. It was really a crazy time for me. So what I did to rule out, because I am a very impatient person in a sense of, nursing someone I don't know. I think I can nurse someone I love, but someone I don't know, like nurses, right? Believe me, nurses, I respect what you guys do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do, because I can't imagine even having to put a syringe in someone. There's just a lot of things. Guess what I did? I volunteered in a hospital because when I moved here, I started off in Las Vegas, and I remember going to this hospital. They have this volunteer stuff. I'm like, okay, if I can hang in here for a little bit. So I believe being smart when you integrate is important, because when I look back, definitely, I'm happy I did that. So now when I actually did that volunteer program, I was in charge of stalking nurse station, talking to patients, how are you doing today? And I remember 2 days in, I had my first death. This lady, we sat down, we talked for long. Oh, can you give me this? When I passed by, and then the next day when I come, I'm like, oh, did she move? Was she? No, she passed away last night. And then that afternoon, there was another death. And I remember when I was driving home, it was dark, and I thought there was a dead person behind my car. I had to pull over.
Oh my God.
It could have been. I don't know what. I was so scared that I'm like, okay, this is not my calling for sure. Because it was literally affecting my mental health. When I get home and I leave the drawer open, I'm like, was it a ghost that opened that or did I open that? And I felt like there was something or someone with me.
Yeah.
It was really scary. I'm imagining them. I'm dreaming about them. I'm like, I don't have the mental strength for this. So, and I'm like, I'm done. You know, I know I could. I remember when I said I was done, people were like, okay, you could do pediatric, whatever.
Yeah.
But still babies die. Like,
Yeah.
I really can't.
No, it's really not for everyone.
It's
For
not
for me
for
personally,
everyone.
I don't think I can stand the sight of blood, you know, and
Or even being around
yeah.
a sick person, because it's more on your life. You're around
Yeah.
people. You're
it's
actually
it's
around
hard. It's really hard.
people at their weakest moment
Yeah.
of humankind. Like,
Yeah.
they're sick. So that's what I did. Because I'm in Las Vegas. I remember a friend that got me a job as a paralegal that paid, I think that it was $15 an hour. Woo, it was amazing. And I remember I got a call. There was something I applied before then, more like, hey, it wasn't more of a call, but more of a text message. Okay, we are having this job fair, whatever, on in a casino. And I'm like, it would be nice to go and check that out too. Though I have about 3 weeks to start the new one. Okay, but I need to see what's out there. And I am grateful that I did. Because I love to talk. I do. And I wasn't sold on sitting behind a desk, writing up paperwork and things like that. It was really good. I was like, it's good money, it's good start, but let's see what's out there. And I remember it was actually a Nigerian actually. And I remember because it wasn't like official ish. I was supposed to start 3 weeks and then he was traveling and can you start so time, whatever. Thank God it happened because I remember going for this job and they hired me on the spot. So now
Wow.
I have 2 jobs that I haven't started. And the one I'm supposed to start, I didn't really the paralegal one. I didn't start till I started the marketing one on the strip, right? And I can remember after the whole training, it was a Friday. I started on Monday. The Friday was the day you shadow someone and watch what they do on the strip, right? You know, they want to really know if you can do this. I'm like, guess what? If you know me, I love sales. I'm from where I'm from. I've been doing this all my life. So it felt like it was natural. So I remember seeing my trainer and what she was, I'm like, that's it. But before then, we have what they call all hands meeting, what we do every morning. Yeah. And I remember they were just passing sleeves for everybody. It's my first time. Like, what are they passing out? They left me out. They gave other people. So I'm like, what is that? And then they left it open. And guess what? I just looked at it. I saw this almost $4,000. And I'm like, In my head, I was thinking it was for the month. I didn't know it was for 1 week. And when I saw it, I spoke to my trainer. I'm like, what is this? Can you give me the calculation? Because they gave her a rundown of what she's paid commission-wise and still hourly. So when she told me that this was weekly, I did not. By the time I was on my way home, I wasn't thinking of the other job. In my head, I was like, I would make this work. In my head, I was thinking of how much I could make a month. And I'm like, this woman is old. She doesn't have my grind. Like, I'm Nigerian, I'm here. And like, I have this fire burning in me. I was calculating things I was going to do. So I will be real with you. My first job in America made me. Yeah. So I feel like I am one of the few, too, in a sense. Like, it's about working smart, too. Yeah. And I remember that first year, I worked half of the year and I made more than people that worked the whole year. And when I think about it, I'm like, wow. So that's one thing I will still tell people. Everybody want to travel. They tell you go do nursing. Don't get yourself into debt. No. Till you figure out if this is what you want to do. Yeah, of course. And I also say it's nothing like the medical field is not for everyone. Right now, the trending thing is IT. It's also not for everyone. If you really don't have a passion for it, you're probably gonna struggle. If you don't have the brains for it, you're probably gonna struggle. There's so many other careers out there. There's sales, there's still oil and gas.
there's different things that you can do. So do not limit your scope. Do not say, hey, it's just gonna be the medical field or it's gonna be IT. People are selling houses. People are doing things like people are being on social media, creating
Yes.
contents. People are doing
A lot
different
of
things.
things
So
that
do
and
not
make
limit.
more
Yeah,
too.
do not limit your scope. I still remember this. My uncle's mechanic back then in St. Louis, he confided in my uncle and told him he made in that year alone, he made well over $1 million in profits.
A mechanic. That's just the
In
crazy
profits,
thing.
yeah.
And now you said that, I remember because my first job was literally, I was like a marketing person for a hospitality industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing Nigerians, walking with their shopping bags and back and forth. Some people, when I talk to them, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty. You shouldn't be doing this, and you shouldn't be doing that." Meanwhile, when I get into talking to them now, they want to come do what I do because yes, it doesn't look glamorous,
Yep.
but it makes me a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I cannot really underrate that. And when people look at you, they're like, "Oh, what's she doing?" No, hell no, they underrate you.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I don't
That's
care.
one of the things. As an intending immigrant, this is for people back home
Back
who wants to
home,
come.
yes.
If you want to succeed here, no, you're gonna
Let the ego.
you gotta have no shame.
No shame to
Literally,
hustle.
you gotta have no shame. If you're thinking about what people will say,
You
yeah,
make
you
it.
probably go work in a bank and work 8 hours a day, make 40 hours a week, and make maybe
$30, $25.
40,000 a year, or go work out somewhere, But if you know you can let go of the ego, let go of the shame, and get dirty, the dirtier you get in America, the more money you make.
Exactly.
I mean, there's other jobs where you don't have to get dirty, of
Yeah,
course.
no.
But I mean, you have to be open.
Open to
You
it.
have to be willing to do anything.
Because the only thing they basically parade online is now everybody's a tech or blockchain or doctor. It's like it's just the top. And when you check, some of these people might have been unemployed for quite a while because it's now a little bit being too saturated.
Yeah.
Sometimes people even exaggerate the income so it matches the status of the career.
Of course.
And which is crazy. So to me, this is one key takeaway I want you to take out from this episode today. Starting from scratch, believe me, have your community when you're coming here. Have that support system. Have a skill. How would I even put it? There's something you actually said. Having the skill, having that support system, and actually opening your mind that this is what it is.
Yeah, this is what it is because you are no more in the motherland.
Yes.
You are here now. I think I mentioned this in our last week's episode where I said I told some cousins and some friends that hey, you should go learn truck driving, maybe forklift driving, maybe plumbing, electrician, anything, right? Any skill. And some of them thought I was insulting them. Some of them thought I was insulting them, but these are things that cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to do here.
Or even to learn.
And people are cashing out with it here. It's just you have to have an open mindset if you want to succeed here. So going back to what we have for today, I think we're on the last part actually. Before we check on our emails, because we did leave our email last week, and I know we had some people writing in.
We're only sharing one.
Yeah, we'll just pick one because of time. We'll pick one to share. So with expert advice on adapting your resume for the local job market. Oh yeah, this is super important because the job market in Nigeria or whatever country you might be in, it might be a little different from what you might experience here. Yeah. So nobody wants to read a 3-page resume or CV with your birthday, your full address, your primary school, secondary school. Nobody has that time here. So it has to be straight to the point. Even if you've done 10 jobs in the past, right? If you're applying for a tech job, right? Put your experience that matches to that tech job, right? If you have gaps in your employment history, they might ask you about those gaps. Be ready to explain those gaps to them. Do not have if possible, condense your CV into your resume into one page, right? And just look out for the things in the job description, right? Every job here they have job descriptions,
Yeah, it's
right?
kind of like tailoring each for each job.
Yeah, it tells it down. It tells you what they are looking for, right? You can, put your experience that kind of applies to exactly what that job is asking for. So you're not all over the place because most corporations, most companies, they don't have an individual who goes through every application. They have AI,
Yeah,
right?
That ATS stuff.
Yeah. That AI is programmed to look out for specific stuff in your resume, right? If you do not have those specific keywords on your resume, and if it's not condensed enough, yeah, it does glosses through it, maybe one page, you know, it's probably
I feel like the first 3 bullet points should capture most of it.
exactly, because if it doesn't capture that, it's gonna throw your application away. So you might end up having 100 applications and no good response back. So that is something to look out for.
There is something before we get that I really want to touch on leveraging your networks when you immigrate,
Okay.
right? So I want to talk about, like, for me, I volunteered. So I would recommend we Africans as a whole, I don't know where you're watching this from, but most of the time leverage a local church.
Yep.
Even if you're not religious, this might be hypocritical for me to say, but leverage that, because believe me, people tend to help out more in a place of worship, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you believe in, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever you believe in, just leverage that, volunteer. Another thing you said on
I think community
community
groups, or it could be your college or high school.
Exactly. Community groups is important. Go on Facebook, go on Instagram, type in keywords, look for events. Try to find your community in that place where you are in, because they will help you walk the walk. Because every city is different. So finding someone that is from your place, someone that moved from the same place you came in, would actually tell you, oh, do this, oh, don't do that. It's kind of like having a mentor that is not defined, someone you can go to ask questions, honestly.
Yeah.
So believe me, these 3 things, don't forget that. Look for a mentor, community, church. Leverage those for information on what's going on and staying up to date, and help on tips on getting a job or the best career to steer you, but still listen to your own intuition. Believe me, it matters a lot. Don't ever follow the crowd. Do you at the end of the day?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
this is abroad. This is Yankee. You have to do you, definitely.
And quickly on that point, just before we go to the emails, I would say, religion here isn't about, like, churches here isn't really much about the religion or the religiosity, or the kabush kabash that we have back home.
The fire,
They spend they matching your enemies and killing the devil every Sunday, or tights, and tights. It's more like a social gathering. I see it more like a social gathering because I've seen people, who came here from Africa, from the motherland, and they were struggling a little bit, but they got help, from members of the church that they attend, and they got them into like good positions.
Yes.
So it's really more like a place to network, a place to meet people, and it kind of helps you with that depression that we talked about, because what really leads to this depression most times is the loneliness. Yeah, because this is a place where you probably don't even talk to your neighbors, because maybe you're coming and they're going, and they're going and you're coming, and it's
everybody's schedule.
so yeah. And online conversations is online conversations, but having a real human being that you talk to, I think that really helps, with keeping your sanity. So if you find a local church that, or mosque, or depending on your religion, just go there more for the social aspect of it, more for connections, more for meeting people. It's really gonna help a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for that. All right, so we have this story here. You want to go? You want to take it, or you want?
Go ahead and take it.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so yes, we're definitely keeping you anonymous. And they say, I'm in a dilemma. I moved from Nigeria to the US around June of 2023. Thank God it's not during Trump era. They said, leaving my wife and 2-year-old daughter.
Oh
Wow, that's
wow, that
crazy.
must have been tough.
Yeah, 2 years. Imagine leaving a 2-year-old kid and you've nothing. Oh my God. Now, I also left my job as a banker in one of the major banks in Nigeria. Now, the plan was to come here. That's what everybody think. Work hard and find a way to bring my family over. Whew, yeah, that's a trap. Now, it's been over 2 years, meaning the kid is almost 4 years
Oh
without seeing the
wow.
dad. And I have nothing to show for my time here so far. Now, I'm still going through the rigorous immigration process, and I've only been able to do menial jobs like Uber, not bad, and warehouse jobs. That reminds me of yours, so jobs I wouldn't even consider back home. Now, from the look of things, it might take well over 5 years or more to bring my family here. I'm almost depressed due to loneliness. Lately, I've been thinking about dumping everything here and moving back home. Not a good advice, no. Please, I need your opinion. Okay. I
Whew.
think that's more up your alley, though, because
This is very relatable. This is the story of so many
you think
immigrants.
you've heard, right?
I have seen, matter of fact,
Before you even go, so this is something he said here.
Mhm.
He said he's going through the rigorous immigration process. So something is in the works.
Yep.
But what could it be that is taking
So
5 years?
for him to say
Five
it might be
years?
another 5 years, I'm thinking maybe asylum. Maybe because I know the asylum, especially now with the new administration in
In
power,
power?
it might take well over 5 years because the backlog, it's a lot. Also depending on the
The
state.
state.
So he didn't mention his state. This is the case of some, like, immigration has broken so many families
Families.
that you can't even
And I
imagine.
know, wait, I know this might be controversial, like you're trying to avoid it.
Hmm.
But I'm still, because I'm trying to break this down though. Like he's been here since June of
2023.
2023, right?
Hmm.
I've seen people that use other people's documents to like maybe even ride the Uber or whatever they want to do to get
Hmm.
by. I don't really know the rigorous Uber is still. I've seen people do good with Uber. For me, that's what we're talking about. Kind of like letting your ego down and figuring it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. From that story, I really don't think he's having more of a financial problem. I think
Problem
more is more like the family. Like, I can't even imagine being away from my kids
for two
for
years,
2 months, talk less of 2 years.
2 years.
You know, that must be heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the advice. I don't advise going back, honestly. That's for sure.
Hmm.
And I don't really know the category of the visa he even came in with to begin with, or if the wife can come in, or can he leave? I
You know
doubt he
what?
can.
I think we'll throw this to the audience and let our community kind of respond. Like,
Respond.
if you were in his shoes, what would you do? Right?
I have a little advice I would give here because I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
break this down a little bit. There wasn't much information given here, but breaking it down is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is other ways. I don't really know the immigration process that's been talked about. We know the one that most people don't really talk about where people leave families back home. Some people literally didn't ever end up together after that much time
Of
apart.
course, of
Because some
course.
people move and
Mm-hmm.
then remarry in the
Yep.
country they went to. That's something people don't talk about. And
Mm-hmm.
in this case, I don't know if that's the case because he didn't really mention the wife. It's more of the kid.
Yeah.
So in this sense, I don't know if he's still together with the wife or just worried about the kid or really trying to bring them over here. Well, that's kind of like what we're talking about. Because when this person really thought about, okay, let me just go, I'm gonna come pick them up. They didn't really think through what
Yeah.
we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Because if you put it down, you have to look at if you're coming here with your example B1, B2 visa, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your immigration path? How long is it
Yeah.
gonna take? you have to be mentally
Of
prepared for
course,
that.
of
You
course.
know, to even have this conversation with a wife, to be like, okay, something like that. If we want to do it together, not being apart,
Mm-hmm.
let's go together, or things like that. Figure it out.
Yep.
But at this point, going back with the
Mm-hmm.
way things are, I don't recommend it, except if you have a whole lot going for you, or maybe if the wife is doing better and you feel like it's better. But if not, I would say tough it out. You have to walk the walk. You're already here.
Yeah, he's already spent almost 2 years here, so I would say,
Tough
mm,
it out.
yeah, write it out, and it is what it is. It's really not easy, and like we said, leverage on networking. It could be a local church, it
Mm-hmm.
could be an- any Facebook group. It could be your college Facebook group, or
Mm-hmm.
any group. Like, just have people that you communicate with all the time, so you don't feel alone, you don't
Yeah.
feel lonely,
Lonely.
because you don't want to get sick in this country. You don't want to get
Yeah.
depressed. It's really hard. it's
Sometimes you
it's
can
really,
even
really hard.
avoid it.
Well,
It's more on knowing how to navigate that. There is something I still say because I know when people, I don't know if he is someone that can actually leave the United States, let's say to Mexico. I've actually seen couples that were married, but because of immigration, they cannot really come in here.
mm-hmm,
Where you see them, they still travel to
mm-hmm.
meet their partners
In a neutral
in a
country.
neutral country,
Okay.
you know, that might be closer. Or if because here I don't think money is a problem. I don't know his accommodation issues. It's all about the immigration and being
Yeah.
apart from his family. So that if that could be one of those, you know, he can leverage on some of those, something to look forward to, because imagine having to look forward in 5 years and you don't see yourself seeing your kid. It could be depressing. I don't even want to know what's in his mind.
That is hard.
Yeah, but I know it's a lot of people's stories, and I've actually known not exactly this, but I feel like every African or immigrant must have known someone like this.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows someone like this.
I've seen so many stories
Yeah,
like
like
this, and
this.
I've heard
Yeah.
so many
So
stories like this.
it's I've seen it where the couples most of the time are never together. Like it's just done, you know, because sometimes by the time they're done with the immigration process, it's been
So,
years.
quickly, in conclusion, your advice to him is to stick it out, to
Mm-hmm.
stay, and find
Find a
his
way
way out.
to,
Okay.
yes.
I think that would be my advice too. But who knows? Our audience might have better suggestions.
Yeah.
So let's see. What do you guys think?
Yes.
What do you think? Also, feel free to send in your own stories. Like you said,
Yes.
like we said, you can remain anonymous. We will not mention your
have to
name.
make it anonymous. I don't want to bring that
Yeah,
controversy
we don't have
regardless.
to mention your name,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so
Yes.
you could have a story that helps someone else out there, or you could learn
Or if
something
you've been in
from
this
the
guy's
audience,
situation,
So
yeah. Well, thank you guys for working with us today. I actually enjoyed it,
oh yeah,
and I'm looking forward to our next episode,
mm-hmm.
which, believe me, it's actually very interesting.
Oh yeah, next
Yeah,
week
that
is
one
gonna
is
be very
juicy.
spicy. It is spicy.
I actually wanted that to be what we talked about today, but we have to push it for next week.
Yeah, one step at a time.
One step at a time. And thank you guys for joining us again. And we'll see you next week, Wednesday. Don't miss it. I hope you don't miss it. Yes.
See y'all soon.
See you all soon.